We're talking with Mrs. Konky, aka like the princess.
Hello, everyone. I am Mrs. Konky. Nice to digitally meet you. What was Savage's question? I don't see it. I don't have the chat history.
Well, looks like, hold on, we got a response. Jay Justice says, it's always been hard to put my thoughts about toxicity in gaming into words on the fly, but just due to the closeness I've seen it with Rocco, the amount of backlash of hate from people saying we're too soft, how we wouldn't last 5 minutes in an old COD lobby. I was one of those people like a decade ago. It's something I resent and got away from, that line that gets crossed when it goes from trash talk about gameplay mechanics or other things and turns into your ethnicity, etc. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a really common thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. Here, I'll open the queue. So if anybody wants to ask a question, just in case it gets missed, because chat does move pretty quickly sometimes. So if you're concerned about your question being missed and like we don't answer it, just please make sure you use that command. And I can understand what you mean too. Jay, like I was definitely a toxic and angry individual when I was younger and definitely did some questionable shit, just because, you know, we thought it was edgy and cool and all that, and it's like it's not permissible to continue the behavior, especially at the expense of somebody else, right? So I'm glad you learned from it, and I think like it's important to also understand why those people do it, because I understand why I did it, and it's because I wasn't really happy with my home situation and shit. I didn't really know how to deal with the whole thing. So what's some toxicity you've experienced online and how has it affected you, Leiah?
Oh boy. Well, I think
because you play Rainbow Six, so like
I do play Rainbow Six, and then I played CS:GO before, and I've played a bunch of games previously, but I think subconsciously I stayed away from anything that required talking to other people, specifically because of that. In Rainbow Six, or in CS:GO, I would say, I mean, the only thing is like, you know, you've got your like picture there from your profile and they're like, you're a girl, and like they'll like message you and stuff. So not necessarily toxicity there, but just like people hitting on you just because they know you have a vagina. But then when it came to Rainbow Six, it was like I will say this right away. I am by no means an exceptional Rainbow Six player. Let's get that out of the way. Do I have some good headshots every now and then? Absolutely.
Yes. She clutches games and shit sometimes, and it's hot. Okay.
It do be a game clutcher every now and then, but you know, like I purposely
She's casual.
I'm casual. But the toxicity that I've received in Rainbow Six has caused me to, one, only play, or I play as often as possible with people that I know. So whether it's with Konky, whether it's with Outward and Hunger James, or, you know, other friends. I've also turned off all chat just because I don't want to like just take in any of that information. I don't need any potential negativity coming from anywhere. And I just don't talk. I've stopped talking. I just do text chat now for comms. Unless it's with you guys.
Right.
And it's really weird because the only
before you go on to explain, can you explain why you only use comms with us?
Text comms?
Yeah.
Oh, only use comms with you because I only feel safe with you guys. You're the only people that I feel safe like just talking to. Or if it's like I have another group of friends that I'll casually play with, and they're kind of sprinkled around the US as well. And those are friends that I've known through the dance community, so I've have that experience with them and I have that connection with them. So those are individuals that I trust. We're, you know, and in both groups it's guys.
Right.
Just guys. So it doesn't, you know, it doesn't necessarily differentiate in gender. But yeah, that's the only reason why I talk to you guys on voice comms, or you're the only people that I talk to on voice comms. Yeah. Pretty poopy.
Pretty poopy.
Pretty poopy. Yeah, there was the one that still sticks in my head today is still so like weird if I repeat it. So like I was playing a game, I was top fragging, like I was really carrying. It was a good day for me, and I had no idea why. I was like, all right, this is great. And something happened where a fellow teammate was like not doing well, and you know, you have those players that if they die, regardless of whether or not your team wins the round, they're fucking pissed. They're like, I could have fucking had that piece of shit, blah 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 blah.
Right.
And somebody, this was like in the beginning of me playing the game, somebody had said something and told them to like chill out or whatever. And I was like, yeah, man, you know, relax. This is just like a quick play. This is like a game. And he was just like, who the fuck are you to fucking talk to me? Blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, just chill, man. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, we still won. And he's just like, shut up, you fucking woman. And I was like
it was an insult.
I was like, yeah, I'm a woman. Like,
Yeah, I am a woman.
I am a woman.
Top fragging, stupid bitch.
And I was just like, okay, and then just finished the game. We won. I was still top frag, and then I just left. I just turned the game off. I turned the computer off, and I think I went to go do something else because I was like, I can't believe that he said that. You know, like and what that tells me is like we all have curse words that are at the tip of our tongue that we say when we're angry, and it's just like, these are things that I use. This is how I express my anger. And what that tells me is that being derogatory towards women is a very common way for this individual to express anger. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Wow. And I couldn't touch the game for like a week.
Yep.
So,
I remember that.
I remember.
It's not cool. It's not fucking cool. And there was actually, did I tell you there was a whole study that was done related to that?
Yeah.
For anybody who wants to read it, here, I'll post it in chat, but maybe bookmark it and check it out check it out later, or check it out now, whatever you want to do. But we talked about this on the XP Talk Show back in like 2018. Mary, or what's her Twitter handle? Mary, girl from Canada. I sent that to her for her to check out too. Really great article about Halo toxicity and sexism.
Oh yeah.
And why that occurs. And a lot of it has to do with just like the male hierarchical structure of like being the best and all that. The ego, especially in younger boys, is inflated to the point where if there is something that threatens the value of that person, they act sexist or try to demean or diminish the person to make themselves more or less or better than the other person. So using their words and being sexist and shit.
Wasn't it also, I think it might be the same article, wasn't it also that like if you have a player who like a novice player who goes up against a female player who is of equal or higher caliber, they, you know, are demeaning towards them and don't respect them or don't sort of see them in the same light as a same level player. But if there is like a man who is the same caliber or higher, they like, I don't know, give them more credit.
It was the opposite of what you're talking about. So players that are of equal or greater skill level of females tended to be like what's the word? They'd offer camaraderie, or they'd be more cooperative.
Is this a different article then? Because I think that there was another Halo article or another article that focused on Halo specifically, the game.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe there's two.
There might be two. Yeah, the one that I read, basically that women that were playing games with people who are at equal or greater skill level than them were treated much better than players that had poor skill level, but and weren't doing as good. Like if you have poor skill level and you have a woman on the team who's playing better than you, the likelihood, especially if you're like younger or something like that, I think, I don't even know if it has to do with age. I'd have to read the article again. But they tried to diminish the player ability of the person who was doing better than them.
Oh yeah. This is one, and then male status and performance moderates female directed hostile and amicable behavior. I think this one also discusses where they have men or males who are of varying skill levels, and they put them in a situation where they're playing with a female. And if you are a sort of more confident or like, well, I don't know, the easiest way to describe it is like if you were a decent guy or like had more self-confidence in yourself, or if you were a man that is confident and more emotionally intact, you are more inclined to treat females better, whether or not they play better than you. But if you are a male that has less self-confidence, and I mean it sounds very no duh when you kind of say it in those terms, but it's when you have a man who is less socially aware. That's kind of what I was getting at, is a male that is less socially aware or emotionally aware is more easy. It's more easy for them to, pick on or bully or be sexist towards women who play better than them. But when it comes to men that play better than them, they're immediately seen as like OP or like there's like, oh, they're the best because they're a dude. And a part of that comes from their inability to recognize their lack of
ability,
of emotional awareness, of social awareness, and things like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, Savage, that was a really good question. And I mean, like, I still play Rainbow Six. I'm actually probably gonna load it up right now. I still play Rainbow Six and I still enjoy it, but there are definitely certain aspects to it that I stay away from just to maintain my sanity. And that's a really strange thing to say, I think, in this day and age, that there are certain parts of life that you have to avoid, even though they bring you joy, because there is a source of anxiety within them. But yeah. Anything else? What else do you want to talk about, Mahal? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, do you have anything in mind?
I'm trying to keep my mind off of everything that's going on, I think.
Understandable. You were telling me you were like numb about it yesterday.
I was like having a panic. Like I think I just have like functional anxiety at this point. Everybody in the pandemic has functional anxiety, but yeah, like my chest was tight and I felt really like lightheaded and shaky. And I think I was even telling you while I was like while I was making us dinner, we're really lucky to have access to the internet and to be the type of individuals that can parse out good
information,
true legitimate information. Because so for context, my mom called me. She is in the healthcare field, and she told me that she finally got her vaccine, and we were just kind of talking about that, and then we went to talking about what happened in Atlanta, and very instinctively I was just like, hey, just don't, this might sound dumb, but like, don't go out if you don't need to go out. I don't want anything bad to happen and stuff. And she's like, yeah, I know, won't do that. And I I was like, yeah, you heard about all of the other stuff going on too, right? And she goes, what other stuff? And I talked about a young Filipino American who died because, in a similar fashion to George Floyd, there was a police officer kneeling on his neck. There was a older Filipino gentleman who was slashed across the face in New York, and I was telling her all these things, and she's like, I haven't heard about any of that. And to put it very plainly, my parents are the type of people that watch like the 8 o'clock news on Channel 7. You know, they don't really seek out information in the way that you and I seek out information on social media on different platforms. And it was so jarring that to them, this Atlanta incident is the first incident, like the first big incident, and
For them, yeah.
for them. And I'm like, fuck, like. I was like, all right, please just don't go anywhere. You don't need to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Savage, would you say that competitive gaming is sexist by default? Or does a player base shape the representation and experience more than a game developer's vision? Interesting. Say that competitive gaming is sexist by default. I would say that taking it further out of just competitive gaming, there are a lot of things outside of competitive gaming that now shape the nature of it. I mean, Twitch being one of them, a lot of different like gaming platforms and ways for gamers for people who play games, not gamers, people who play games to interact with each other, and those are very, very male dominated. So I think even before an individual touches a particular game, a competitive game, there's already this pretense of this belongs to men and enjoy this. Like, you know what I mean? And with the culture that we see with Twitch and with social media, women are kind of seen as accessories to a particular thing. They're that shiny toy that just kind of makes something flashier, more attractive. So even if you have a really, really incredible female gamer, or I mean, let's even put it out there, a gamer that identifies as female or anything like that, they're like, that's just kind of like a it's like kitschy. It's not real. She's not actually a gamer. No matter how developers build their game, or no matter what, audience developers want their game to attract, we unfortunately have already cultivated this scenario, whether intentionally or unintentionally, and we kind of have to do our best to change that.
I feel like especially like the early days of marketing, it was definitely a thing where it was definitely marketed to just boys. So you could say that that's when like the whole, I don't know if it was intended, but I'd assume so, just because, olden times was like, men are bullies, and they don't, men don't give a shit about people's feelings, because we're men, we've got things that we're the breadwinners, we're supposed to look after women and all that shit. And so like that was kind of perpetuated, I feel like, through marketing in the gaming thing, because like you look at all those commercials, like it's all boys, all little boys playing video games, like I don't know, I'd be interested to see like the first commercial that had a girl playing a video game in it, and when I think about that, I know it was probably all pink and it was something Barbie related.
Oh
you
yeah,
know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, so for those in the chat who are unaware, I do research. I'm in like the research space. So taking it back to Savage's question, regarding the game developer's vision, right? When someone creates something else, as much as humans want to avoid bias or implying anything, when we create something, there is always a risk of or potential source for bias. So where am I going with this? Recently, I came across an article, or I think, it was on a tweet actually. It was a tweet about words translated from Tagalog, which is the Filipino language, and Tagalog doesn't have gendered pronouns. So when you say something, there is no he, she version of like a verb or certain words or certain actions. But when you put those words into Google to translate them, certain phrases were translated to he is doing something or she is doing something. So for example, the Filipino words for they are working. I'm just saying they because they're non-gendered. You put in the Tagalog for they are working, Google Translate changes it to he is working. They are doing laundry, Google Translate changes it to she is doing laundry, right? So there, for a long time now, has been sort of this underlying sexist bias in technology. Now, where am I going with this? Taking it back to video games, there's a lot of psychology and a lot of parts of games and mechanics in games that developers create that they may not realize it, but might be implicitly biased towards or against a particular gender. So if there are mechanics that lean more towards male capabilities or like female capabilities, like fine motor skills or like problem solving and stuff like that, not to say that one set of skills is only available in a man or in a woman, but you know, I mean, it's possible, right? That's how that happens. And if you think about it, when you think about game developers, unfortunately, that has been a very male dominated field. So I think to get to a place where we get away from the sexism that exists in gaming, it's like anything else. You have to get to the source. You have to get to a place where the people that are not being well represented should be able to create something that represents them.
Mm-hmm. Or participate in, you know, creating whatever it is.
Yeah.
As part of the group and have equal voice and like, have a voice, be represented.
Yep.
We all know representation's important, like especially with all the stuff that came out with Spider-Man Miles Morales. Like that was a really cool experience where people were like watching the trailer and being like, oh my god, it's so cool to see like a Latin American like as Spider-Man and just like go through his neighborhood and talk in his native language that he learned from his parents. Like it's a very powerful thing, and it's so easily taken for granted, especially for people like me who's been represented pretty much by completely everything that I've ever played. You know what I mean? Like Link is a white dude. Like,
Right.
like I automatically saw myself in Link, you know, since when I was younger. That's something that like I can't, without having a video game, I don't know who I would be if I didn't have the representation I did or like I had in gaming. You know, like I don't know what kind of person I would be. I don't know if I would have believed in myself or saw myself in the characters that I played so that I could experience like my first, you know, awakening moment. I don't know what kind of person I would be.
Yeah, I think that's something to think about. You asked earlier about like you were randomly asking me like what Disney movies I had or hadn't watched.
Yeah.
And I think about like the things that identify me because I didn't really do games because like you'd mentioned, like I couldn't really identify myself or find an identity in games because no one looked like me. So like when Mulan came out, a bitch lost her shit. Like I was like, she looks like me. Freaked out. It's funny. When Lilo and Stitch came out, that was the movie for my little sister because when my sister was little, she looked exactly like Lilo. It made her really happy. But yeah, like when you don't have that kind of identity, like I wonder if that's an interesting case study. Hello, researcher Leiah. You know, maybe that's probably why I didn't like lean towards those kind of games. Like I was a big like puzzle game player. I was like, these don't have a character that I need to personify myself as to feel like I'm playing it, you know?
Yeah.
But Jay Justice, the bro culture and male-dominated belief in video games has been blown all to hell because everyone can play games, but there still exist people like those COD lobby people talking shit, toxic behavior go hand in hand and is somehow part of the ritual. Like, yeah, like it's they're like, it's a rite of like you have to be an asshole to play video. Jay, I am with you there 100%. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. There are times when you just want to play a casual fucking game and just actually play the game. And then there are people that are just assholes to be assholes.
Right.
And it's like the bro thing to do. And I'm like, I put money into this thing
Yeah.
so I can enjoy myself. Why? Why are you doing? Does this bring you joy? Does thinking of Mary Kondo, does this bring you joy?
Does this bring you joy?
Does this bring you joy? And if it does, why?
I think, like, if I was to answer that question as the former super toxic, like, teenage Steve, a lot of it had to do with, like, my environment. So I have no control in my environment. Games gave me control, and when people take away my control by being better than me, it was like, you know, I equated it to, like, my mom not treating me right or treating me like an adult. So, like, and for me, like, growing up, I definitely had problems with, like, women authority figures, just because I equated them to my mom a lot. And so, like, I would question the authority even more because I didn't trust based off of the association of my mom's identity, which is unfair, obviously. But I know it's like a cop-out, but, like, when you're swimming in the bullshit, like we talk about all the time on the channel, when you're swimming in bullshit, you don't know you're swimming. You're completely engulfed in whatever it is you're doing, and especially at a young age, I don't think people have the capability of the self-reflection or understanding unless they're given those tools, and given the context in which they need to understand things. You know, I think, like, that's where it really comes from. I think it just comes from a lack of experience and the especially the environment that they live in. Like, I think that greatly affects how they perceive everything, because it seems to be like a really heavily false reality they created. Like, it doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. So, like, of course it doesn't make sense. Why would it make sense if the person doesn't know? Like, they just don't know that they're doing it, and the reaction to being like, why are you doing that, is fuck you. Like, that's heavy, you know. That's like a heavy reaction to just simply be like, hey, I know you're upset, but, like, what's going on? So
Fuck you. Oh,
yeah,
pain.
people say that shit with their chest online, and I think a lot of it has to do with the anonymity, but, like, at the same time, what I was getting out of the whole situation that I recall and remember was that I was playing, like, a low risk physical reward thing. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't physically in harm's way. It allowed me to get out, like, that angst and terribleness that I had inside me. It was an outlet for that.
Can I just tell you something?
Yeah.
You're talking a whole fucking lot, and you're, like, killing this game. The amount of brain space you have to have a conversation and actually play this game well is mind-boggling. I give you so much kudos because I can't. Christ.
This is our roguelike conversations. I gotta keep my hands occupied.
I don't know how. I don't know how you do it.
It's ADHD, dude. It's literally that. Like, I don't think anybody
You're a superhero to me, dude. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, what was that conversation we had earlier? You know what I mean?
Oh my god. Like, yeah, wow, holy cow. Holy shit.
Yeah, well, okay. So, what am I doing? I forgot.
Okay,
you were complimenting me and my ego was inflating, and now I don't remember.
I got it.
Oh, I was explaining why I was so toxic. And so, like,
I mean, I've been toxic too. Like, and when I'm toxic,
yeah, but
who the fuck is that person?
But there's a line. There's a line. Like, you see my line all the time. Like, I'm like, these fucking idiots, just turn around.
Yeah,
Literally turn around.
Maybe it is a female thing. I don't know. I'm not trying to generalize, but it is definitely a Leiah thing where if I get pushed into a place where I am uncomfortable and I do not like what's happening, I get vicious. I get real bad. And it's
While
like,
gaming?
yeah, I didn't tell you about that what fucking kid I told. Oh, I don't remember what it was exactly. It was something about
I don't know.
he was being an asshole. His microphone was shitty and he was trying to like, I could still hear him, but like, I don't know, he's just being a jerk.
Okay.
And I had said something to the effect of like, maybe you should return your headphones to the Walmart where your parents abandoned you at or something.
God
like,
damn.
I was like really mad. I don't remember exactly
I've never heard you say anything like that in my entire life. You're calculated.
Women are very...
They know how to stab.
They know how to stab deep.
We're just like a fucking bat. We like... But boys support but boys. Thank you for the $20 donation to charity, Jay.
Yay.
Remember, we're still donating to charity. If you want to know how Stop AAPI charity is preventing, Asian hate, they're doing it with a 5-pronged attack, and it's sustainable. So please check them out. Thank you for the $20. So, boys support boys. No wonder she's so good at R6. She takes freaking headshots. Yeah. Clean off the shoulders.
I really do. Actually, headshots are kind of like my forte. I don't know why.
But no, I feel like when it comes down to it, like toxicity wise, there's still like a line. You know what I mean? You're not gonna like get into the men use blunt, dumb shit to like insult. And even if it was like a sexist comment or whatever, like face value, it's stupid. You know what I mean? It's not calculated. But like Leiah, like that's just like taking the information you have, literally turning it. Not only are you showing them the mirror, but you're like, you're a piece of shit. Look at yourself. You know what I mean? Like, with information that is readily available for the rest of the team. So you're like socially humiliating them in front of the rest of their teammates. That's like an extra level of...
And here's a part too, is like
kind of awesome, to be honest.
Well, like also I told you like I can't, it's really difficult for me to like have full conversations and play video games. So when I talk, I'm not as animated as this, so it's usually more like this.
Yeah.
I'm just
you're
like
cutting in and out where it's hard to hear you.
Oh, sorry. How about now?
It's better.
Yeah, so I'm basically talking like this, and it's very deadpan, and there's not a lot of like inflection. So I basically just told this guy to go back to the Walmart where his parents abandoned him at, and you return those fucking headphones. Like just like really dead. You know what I mean? And that's not what you expect. You expect like go back to the. Yeah, I don't know what you expect, to be honest.
No, it's not. I mean, honestly, you could be pretty brutal. There's a streamer that I think Edward introduced me to that has like a vocal problem. Like it's like an issue with their vocal cords, so they're pitched higher, which is unfortunate, because it makes them like a target for literally everything. So they primarily play like single player games or with other people.
Yeah, I think I've talked to you about this before, but like even in like the professional space, I used to have a higher pitch and it's in the way that I talked, and I had a mentor back at Apple. Steve and I both used to work at Apple, by the way. That told me like if you want to be taken seriously, like you can't sound like a ditz. And like it was a reasonable at the time sort of comment, and to be honest, it's helped me get to where I am today. But there are a lot of things that I feel like I have had to amplify or water down in my personality in order to thrive and excel in my career.
Because you're a woman.
Because I'm a woman. So for context, Steve used to sell stuff. I used to fix stuff. And it didn't really go over well when you had like a tiny 5'2" Asian woman telling you your shit's fucked. You know? And you have to carry yourself a different way. You have to walk differently, talk differently. I remember I did like a mini experiment, and this was before I was a researcher, but I was like, I wonder what I can do to make people respect me more. And when I worked at the Apple Store, I used to wear a lot of sneakers and stuff. And one day I decided I would wear like heels, like really chunky heels. That were comfortable. So I wore them for like a week, which turned into 2 weeks, which turned into a month and 2 months. And I realized that there was this visceral reaction that men would get when I walked into the store, because the Apple Store had really hard floors. And when they hear this like clacking of boots on the ground, they like turn and look at you like an authority figure. And I was talking to my research mentor about it years and years after, and he was just like, yeah, I mean, well, think about it. Like the first time that men probably heard that was when they were at school, and there may have been a female teacher or a female principal that they respected or looked to as like a sign of authority. And he's like, you just like psychologically fucked these guys into respecting you with shoes. And I'm like, what?
What?
I just wanted to look taller.
But inadvertently you caused that like reaction. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, I mean, I did that. I changed the way that I talk a little bit. There's a particular way that I talk now when I do research, and I present and stuff like that. So there are just little things that you kind of change as a woman, and that translates into not only the professional life, but your personal life. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all of that.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any more questions about toxicity in gaming for Leiah?
This one. I'm reading the chat.
They hear those shoes and get riled up because those reactions come from a place of being admonished or reprimanded, and they immediately become defensive / hostile. Yeah, because they're weak men. Sorry. I remember being a weak man and reacting like that. Yes.
What did Savage say here? That reminds me of the part in Already Bother You where they talk guy voice to be taken seriously on the phone. Absolutely. Steve, I don't know if I've told you this, but one of the best things about marrying you is that people now mistake me for a white woman until they meet me.
That's one of the best things? Why is that best?
Because then there isn't any potential bias or racism towards me.
And then they have to deal with it in the moment?
Yeah.
Instead of like anticipating it?
Well, like, yeah, think about it. Like, if I'm
prepare to be racist to this woman who's about to walk in. Yeah, but honestly, that's real though. That's fucking real.
You know,
that's what
like
we've been seeing all year.
If I've been handling like this project or this research bid like really well, and they're like, wow, she's like, they're giving me all these compliments and emails and in chat, and then like first video call, they see that I'm Asian. Like, it's a lot more difficult to step back on that.
True.
I had a client tell me, they're like, before they saw me, they're just like, oh, do you know this famous Italian, something Verdone, big actor? And I was just like, dear God. No, I don't.
Were they putting on a fake accent?
No, they were a European client.
Oh, okay, they were European. Got it. Have you gotten in the like, wow, you didn't sound as Asian as you look yet?
Not yet. Not outwardly.
Good. Good.
What would you do?
What
would you do if we were like in person and somebody was like, wow, I didn't think your wife was Asian. She didn't sound Asian or something like that.
I pretty much had my uncles did that shit. You remember that?
Wedding?
Yeah, we were at a wedding and my fucking uncles were like elbowing me and being like, oh, you're a fiance, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, that's my fucking future wife. And I walked away. And I was like, dude, I cannot believe you would just say that shit to me and expect me to like rub elbows with you after that. You are fucking misogynist and I hate it. I hate it so much. And like literally it was like 5 of my fucking uncles that like aren't immediate uncles, so I don't get to see them regularly. Thank fucking God. But goddamn, dude. And anytime, because I'm not super related to them, I totally take every opportunity when we're in front of everyone to make them feel like fucking idiots. Because they are. I hate people who like try to pretend that they're all this, they're hot shit, when really they're just like a fucking misogynist asshole. I just like, I don't understand. I don't like it.
Well, I don't know. And the other thing too is like,
bothers me. Sorry.
positive intent, like, do they realize that they're being misogynist? Because
No,
they were
because
trying.
they're all enabled by each other.
Well, because
That's
I think
the
that they
worst
were
part.
trying. They think they were trying to give you
A
and or
compliment.
I
No,
a
no, no. It
compliment.
wasn't for you because they would have said it in front of you. You know what I mean? Would you say that in front of somebody? No, you wouldn't fucking say that in front of anybody. But I'm like, it's a guy thing, quote unquote. You know what I mean? No, it's not. It's a piece of shit thing. Nobody should be doing that. Like, I think it's important to understand the differences between being like, okay, you know, that is a very attractive woman, I will respectfully look at you, and being like blatantly misogynistic. It just fucking bothers the shit out of me because they don't, it means they don't see you as a person, which is the worst part. That's like so insulting. You know what I mean? Like you were talking about before, like men seeing women as objects and like possessions. You know,
Yeah.
this is like Greek 101, dude. If you're a fucking Greek man, like the chance of you being a fucking ego-driven asshole who's a misogynist is pretty fucking high. And 100% you've been traumatized. 100%. Every single like person that has existed in the Greek family that I haven't been in, their home life, their home situation was never a good one, ever. They all got problems. I think it's like it's not just a Greek thing, obviously, but it's just like,
Yeah, well, like,
y'all got
didn't
all
you
this
tell me-
trauma and you don't fucking address it. Instead, you're just assholes forever because you're too stubborn to like ask for help.
It's probably like a immigrant thing too. I mean,
Yeah.
happens to my parents. But I think, well, I mean, you talked about it as well. Like, if you are Greek Orthodox, you know, that's what you told me. You're like, that's why we are not having a Greek Orthodox wedding, because in the vows of a Greek Orthodox wedding, it explicitly describes how the wife is possession of the man and
Right.
must do the man's bidding. Basically, I'm like, okay, no.
Oh yeah, like fucking the Greek wedding is all about that. Like, it's like for the man, it's like, do you want to marry her? Do you promise to love and to hold her? Blah blah blah. Like, yes, I do. And then the wife is like, do you plan to serve this man? Make him breakfast every day? Like, dude, what the fuck? Hold on a sec. Is this part of the church rituals? Is this real? What are you
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and that's kind of what your uncles at that wedding were kind of alluding to, because I had heard what they said. They were just like, oh, you know, she'll take care of you, and obviously innuendo to that, but just like as if I was a thing that you acquired.
Yeah, that I just
you know,
can do whatever I want with. I fucking hate it, dude. Yeah, my Uncle George, I can totally imagine him saying that. Of course, it's not in front of his strong-ass wife, because let's be real. His wife would be like slapping the shit out of him, because I've seen her do that. Fina has done
Fina.
that before.
I
He's
love
like,
Fina.
what? And I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. That's why. That's why you get fucking hit.
I love
Like on the
Fina.
back, dude. She's great. Yeah, Fina's awesome. Out of all the,
Because
my
she's
Uncle
not
George
family, because
has
she's not Greek.
right. Well, okay, my uncle has married plenty of women. Okay,
Has
this
he?
is his.
How many?
This is his, I think, third or
That's
fourth.
a lie.
I'm not lying. If you knew my uncle, like actually knew my uncle, you would be like, wow, this guy has OCD, undiagnosed PTSD. Like, when I say OCD, it's not a joke. This man irons his underwear.
No, he does not.
He does. He 100% irons his underwear and his jeans. He irons everything. When I stayed over at his house, just like in general, it was like I couldn't leave a bowl that I was going to use on the counter longer than like 2 minutes without getting hounded. He's like, that's not where that goes. I'm like, I'm using it. Relax. I don't like the way you're talking to me. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, did you see how you approached me? You literally were going to attack me about a bowl on a counter. Can you relax? Dude, I'm fairly certain, too, he irons his socks. I'm not joking.
Who has the time, bro?
He does. Because it's part of the ritual.
Listen, okay. Speaking of,
He just needs help. That's really what it is. But, like, again, stubborn Greek people, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. We lived in a shitty situation. We don't have a right to complain. Like, it was a lot of that. Like
Crisp booty feel, huh? Savage. Crisp booty feel. Ah, I hate it.
in fairness, I bet an ironed pair of undies feels great. Not if they're just like Hanes tighty whities, dude.
I don't know. I don't even know if like American undies can be
Shut
ironed.
up, James.
I iron my shoes.
Of course he does.
What did you say?
My brother and his wife are very religious, and literally part of her vows to him were that she submits to him as the head of the household and physically cringe at the ceremony. Yeah, try sitting through a Greek Orthodox wedding. You will try. Like, I wanted to turn inside out. That's how fucking. That's how much it like hurt to hear, because the men's thing for like a Greek wedding is like 2 minutes. Do you promise to love and to hold this woman, blah blah blah, like through sickness, through health? I do, woman. And it was like 5 minutes of just fucking 5 minutes of just like, will you subserve to your husband and submit, blah blah blah, and like take care of his children and all of this shit. And it's like, dude, can you pump the brakes? Like, I thought we were gonna be like 50-50 in this. That's when I would have like started second guessing the whole Greek wedding thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like,
if I was gonna get married and like those were the vows that I had to do for rehearsal, I'd be like, okay, I'm not getting Greek married.
I'm out.
Sorry. We're good here.
Basically.
Submit to D's nuts, preacherman.
What did Jay say? Do you think that there may be any correlation between the toxicity that's displayed in gaming versus those behaviors displayed in the real world? I.e. catcalling, belief that men should be owed, dates, nice guy, beliefs that, or other examples that would come to mind. Yeah. I don't necessarily know about like a correlation, but I mean, one part of that is I would hope, or I think it's fairly decent common knowledge that doing those types of things in real life is not good, and it is looked down upon if you do that to other women. And this
in
doing
real
that kind of
life,
stuff, doing this stuff digitally gives you a layer of anonymity, right?
Also, there's no risk.
There's no risk.
The risk is she says no. You know what I mean? Like, and there was a no. Finish your thought, because I want to get into the catcalling bit too.
Okay. And then I think the other part of it is like where you're like that men should be owed dates or nice guy beliefs is I think unfortunately sometimes technology does us a disservice because it takes away from the social interactions and the things, those nuanced portions of like reading people, right? So and technology also offers just like an echo chamber for people who think similarly to you. So if there are individuals that think a certain way, whether for better or for worse, you're going to find other people that think the same way as you. And if your echo chamber happens to be filled with shitty incels,
you can't say that word.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not saying that word. Shitty people. Shitty individuals.
Inexperienced individuals.
Then that's what's going to happen. You're going to think that this is like okay because you're like, oh, I know so many other people that think that this is okay. Now, when
took her on a date, she didn't even suck my dick, bro. What the fuck?
Yeah, and that's where it's just like I am typing nice words. I am entering nice words into this chat. I am promising her all of these things, but she does not accept me. Why not? Maybe because she doesn't know you. Maybe because she is not interested. Maybe because she actually does not have any interest in the male species. There's like
ask?
There are so many layers to it that technology just kind of waves away or makes people forget about. Yep.
Yarp.
Submit to these nuts, preacher man.
I like that. Preacherman. I know that's how he said it.
Oh, he did.
Submit to these nuts, preacherman.
You were talking about catcalling, Mahal?
Oh, yeah. So catcalling. Why do men do it? I imagine that, again, because it has very low risk. And the likelihood of it working, obviously, is probably like 90% not the right thing. But sometimes maybe it does work. And that 10% chance it does work is totally worth not the chance that it doesn't.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
There is one time that it's worked, and that's the reason that they do it all the time.
Right.
There is at least one. Remember when I would get like just random ass messages on like Instagram?
Yes.
Oh my god, my favorite one. We were engaged. I had a picture on my public Instagram of the gigantic fucking rock on my finger. And I get a message from some dude that just says, "What story are we going to tell our friends about how we met?" And I'm just like, you absolute imbecile. Like, this works? You've done this? This has been successful for you in the past? And I already knew the answer, and it just made me sad. I always call cats, like,
Fuck you, Edward. How dare you?
There is a...
You deserve this, okay? You fucking deserve this.
Yeah.
You banned. Hey, Frightened. That sounds like something you got from one of those men's dating advice businesses. Imagine paying money.
Imagine paying money.
Imagine paying money from dating advice from another man. Like, dude, you already fucking lost.
They had a show. Do you remember VH1?
Oh yeah, Will Smith had a fucking movie. Remember that?
But I liked it.
But I liked the movie. Dude.
Oh man. But yeah,
Will Smith like get his voice when he's like, "Let me tell a story all about how I'm gonna get you a date right now. Call me back." I don't know. I can't. I can't. That's all the improv I get.
I don't know.
Give more money to charity, okay? Like, we've got $20 raised thanks to Jay. Again, exclamation point charity in the chat. It's tax deductible for next year. Think about that. And also, you're gonna make some really good changes in people's lives.
Twitch was just a futuristic live action Aladdin. No, don't say that.
There was a genie?
You can't say that. Oh, my pain.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, catcalling. We finished that conversation.
We did finish that. And that's, here's the thing is, the problem with that is when people can't understand that you can't be angry the way that you are like on the internet and try to cat. So there's a particular incident that happened actually at the university that I went to in Chicago. I think I had told you about this. And if I didn't tell you, I apologize because it's actually pretty scary. So for those in the chat who don't know, I also do hip hop dance, and pre-pandemic, I would teach at various classes throughout the Chicagoland area, and I taught for the Filipino organization that I used to be part of at my old university. Went there, taught a class. There's like a parking lot right next to the building where the dance studio is at. Not the best neighborhood, but it's also not the worst neighborhood, and it's getting a little better. So I walked there. It's dark. Literally, like maybe an hour later, my phone is getting blown up, and everybody is just making sure that I got in my car and I got home okay. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm almost home. Why? What's going on? On the same street, in the same parking lot, like that I was just in an hour before, a girl got murdered because a man was catcalling her, and she didn't do anything. She didn't reply. She didn't say anything mean. She didn't run away. She didn't make faces. She didn't instigate. She just did nothing and just ignored. And this individual thought that that was enough reason to do what he did.
To kill somebody.
Yeah. And when it came down to it, I think I forget the story, but he was just like, it was a similar thing. He was just like,
I had a bad day.
I deserve, you know, I was being nice. I wasn't saying anything mean, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, what?
So you killed this person?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah, so that's where like those lines get crossed, where it's just like catcalling is very low risk, but then there are also individuals that do similar things digitally and then, you know, get riled up or get angry, get exceptionally angry when they don't get a reply like digitally, and who knows how those emotions can manifest when they go unchecked and when the same thing happens in person. So.
Whoa. Thank you for the $50 donation.
Whoa!
The famished
Famished
Jimmy.
Why are you laughing like
Because
this?
it's the Hunger James, but it's different. The famished Jimmy. I fucking hate it, and I love you so much at the same time. Thank you for that $50 donation.
I didn't even get it, bro.
I know. That's why you weren't laughing.
I hate it.
Famished Jimmy. My brother, thank you. Thank you so much for the donation to Stop AAPI.
The famished Jimmy. I want as many iterations of the Hunger James as possible.
Starving to make starving Jimbo. That works. Permission denied.
Yeah, frightened. That's basically what happened. That is what happened. And when you go to a place often enough, like you go to school or you go to a particular location and you're like, you feel comfortable enough, right? It just knocks you off your feet, where you're just like, I literally have walked these streets drunk before. Like I've gone to class like hungover and not entirely there, and something could have similarly happened to me, but it didn't. The amount of times I could have died and I didn't. Feels bad, man.
The fact that it's even like a worry is, it's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm already worried about
me just
about
going
you
in the
just
world.
going anywhere. Yeah, because you're a woman. But like,
and I'm also Asian.
yeah. Now on top of that, it's like, okay, well now Asian hate crimes are increasing. I wonder why.
I did notice that you have started asking asking more if I want you to come with me to the grocery store.
Yeah, of course.
Well, before it was just like, oh yeah, she's going to the grocery store, and now it's like,
I will come with you.
I coming too.
Yeah, of course.
That is fucked up. You know what? And it's even more scary because I don't like going to the white grocery stores because they don't have the things that I want. Where do I go? The Asian grocery store.
Right.
I saw that documentary, or not documentary, the YouTube series, PewDiePie. It's pee bad, man. It's pee bad. Pee bad.
Oh yeah, where she just had the backpack on too, and so she's filming behind her as this is happening as well, and it's like fucking scary how many people are like following her. Like, you just gonna ignore me? You just gonna ignore me? I'm like, dude, back off.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, let it go, dude.
Yeah, and I saw it was a handful of other like streamers or YouTubers that would do that, you know, because they're female YouTubers or content creators, and they have a camera on them because they are creating content, and they're just kind of walking around in the world. And I saw an unfortunate compilation of men that would just go up to these girls and put their arms around them, you know, blah blah blah. There was a guy who kissed a girl on her shoulder, and like, I don't like it.
It's messed up.
It's messed up. But just because women exist, like, in these, you know, there are people that make the unfounded argument that these women were asking for it because of the way that they were dressed or because they were, you know, blah blah. There was a girl just wearing a fucking sweater, bro. Just a sweater.
It's not even safe for them.
And also,
and it doesn't matter what you're fucking wearing.
It doesn't matter what you're wearing. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. Exactly. I should be able to wear whatever I want.
Like I don't understand. Like, unless you're a fucking animal, you should be able to be like, oh, well, okay, I guess I'll go home and masturbate or some shit. Like, if I have a serious problem or something. But like, I don't know. It's a weird thing too, because like you have a situation, right, where we don't have the mental health infrastructure to help people. So if people have, like, sex is taboo, so you don't talk about it, right?
Yeah, there's that. There's a bunch of, like, immigrant taboos and cultures and things that aren't discussed. And then that's imbued into multiple generations.
Right.
Generational issues.
It's a multifaceted issue, but let's bring it back to toxicity in gaming and where that comes from. And I think, like, just in summation, if we were going to get into like the whys, I really think it comes down to the adolescence that we're in with like technology and where it's at. Like, we're in the teenager years, which are arguably the most angsty years of anybody's life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're properly socialized as much with, like, especially since the pandemic hit. You know what I mean? Like, that's also amplifying those things because we're all online now.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to like the low risk thing, I don't know. I think the way we combat it, I think we're at this point, we're at the point where we have to just combat it any way we can. And when I think about it, it has to do with like having these conversations and talking to people like regularly and having them share their experiences, and being proactive about like nipping that shit in the bud when it happens and we're present. I think it has to be men that like ultimately are the people responsible that have to like step up and be like, yeah, that's fucking, dude, stop being so toxic. You know what I mean? You know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I think we have to speak out just in general.
It's up to you guys.
What the hell? Why is this just stretches? Okay.
What stretches?
I had a 2x4 that was like, it just went straight out. Thank you so much for the donation. Who just donated? The malnourished Dave. Thank you.
What?
Thank you, Savage Stalker.
Oh! I was like, why are we...
Ridiculous. Everybody's just using James names.
James
the Hunger James's names.
I like it.
And Savage Stalker's message says, this is a really good conversation. I'm glad Leiah jumped on. If you would like to call and talk about toxicity in gaming, by all means, ! Call in the chat.
I'm gonna leave now.
Okay, sounds good.
Goodbye.
I love you.
We live together though, so not really.
Yeah.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay. I love you. Bye, everybody. Thank you for the cool questions and hanging out.
Give me a kiss.
I'm coming. Hold on.
Give me a kiss.
I'm coming. Mwah.
You guys got kissed as well. You heard that? Our love is now your love. Who do you think you are? I am.
All right, here we go. I'm leaving.
Okay, get out of here.
Okay, bye.